showing out, making moves, no doubt. FFA pride, it's what we're all about. From classroom dreams to real world flair, we got the stories you won't find anywhere. Beyond the jacket where the stories unfold, voices of the future, fearless and bold. Tune in now, let the passion ignite. It's more than a jacket, it's a way of life. Beyond the jacket where passion meets purpose.
Welcome back to another Beyond the Jacket podcast episode. We're excited to have you here listening with us again this Friday. I have a super exciting guest on the podcast today. Miss Saydee is also a podcast host of the FFA Frequency podcast. Saydee, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Well, hey everyone, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Paige, for having me on Beyond the Jacket. Well, as y'all know, my name is Saydee. I'm from the Enterprise FFA chapter in Alabama, where I served as our chapter president. I run an FFA podcast, which is my SAE, but has turned into so much more than just an SAE. I've gained such great knowledge, great friendships, so it has honestly been such a blast having this podcast. I do a little photography on the side and just a little bit about me.
Well, it's so nice to meet you, Saydee. I'm so excited to learn about your podcast and your time in the Blue Jacket. For those that haven't met you, who is Saydee beyond the jacket?
Yeah, of course. Well, I don't come from a non-traditional ag background. I'm from a military family. I've moved around maybe 5 or 6 states, and just being able to see what it's like in different parts of the United States is so cool. I was actually a really, really shy kid until I joined FFA, and once I joined FFA, I was able to branch out and find out who I was. And really, like I said earlier, I do photography. I love capturing pictures, whether if it's of agriculture, of just life, and just of people, or just anything I can find. And really, I'm a really personable person. I try to connect with each person I meet. So,
well, that is fantastic. I definitely want to hear about the photography side of Saydee because I'm more familiar with the podcast side. I also enjoy dabbling with camera every once in a while. I am not very good, however. I try. I'm not great.
yes.
How were you first introduced to agriculture?
Well, I always, like I said earlier, I've moved around a lot, and being able to see what it's like either in the city or in the deep south, I've always had a passion, just a love for what it really looks like. And just, I never really knew about FFA or agriculture until I joined high school. And once I joined high school is when I heard about FFA, which is my sophomore year. And just, I was like, wow, how did I not know about this organization? And just my advisors were so kind and so open to helping me, and just able to teach me the basics of agriculture and FFA, and just that's where my journey began from then.
And how did you first get involved? Was it kind of like on your own research, or maybe a friend in a class suggested it?
Yeah, so sitting in my ag class, and I heard my ag teacher ask a student if they were going to compete in poultry evaluation this upcoming year, and I was like, what is poultry evaluation? So I asked her what it was, and she explained it to me, and I was like, okay, that seems interesting. I don't know anything about chickens, so it'll be pretty cool to learn about chickens. So I signed up for poultry evaluation, and just during practicing with my teammates, there were 3 new members on the team, and just we were all so excited to work with each other and just to compete with each other. And let me tell you this is going to be so crazy. So it was my first semester of practicing, and when we competed at districts, my team placed first in the district with 3 new members. Thank you. And I was awarded the highest scoring individual in the districts. And when I tell you, and I heard my name, my jaw dropped to the floor, and I was like, there is no way. So that's how I would say I got involved in agriculture, and just from then, it's what made my journey grow from then.
Saydee, you'll love this story. I did extemporaneous public speaking my junior year. I was always a prepared public speaker prior to that, and I did not want to do it. Absolutely not. Could not make me. I went on through our districts, and on to state, which was all very surprising for me, being a first-time extemporaneous speaker. I had no idea what I was doing. I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And when they brought us on stage as top 4, I knew I had made like finalist. And they were like, they announced my name as the state winner. And there's a picture of me, and my mouth is wide open. Like, when I say if my jaw could have hit the floor, it definitely did. I'll have to send it your way after our episode. But I can relate to that feeling of adrenaline and just when the bug bites you and you'll never get away. If you could describe your FFA journey in one word, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. I think the one word I would describe my FFA journey is unexpected. I never would have thought I would be standing here today, even now as alumni. I never thought I'd be joining FFA, gaining so many great friendships, so many great lessons, competing in a competition, placing first in the district, and running for a chapter officer position, and then being elected the president in my third year of being an FFA, and then going to continue my FFA journey, running for state, but unfortunately not getting it, and also being able to run an FFA podcast that has grown tremendously this past year with over 1,000 followers. Just like, wow, I never thought I would be standing here today.
Absolutely. Neither did I.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. You get the ball rolling and it just starts growing and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
It keeps going.
Yeah.
Is there a teacher or a mentor for you that kind of initiated your first push into ag communications or even FFA in general?
Actually, my advisors, I was sitting in my ag class one day and I just thought, what could I do for my SAE? Because originally I had agriculture education and I just didn't really know what to do much with it. So I was like, let's do something more with it. Let's do something different. So I told my advisors, I was like, what if I started a podcast? Because I don't think anyone in my chapter has ever done that before. So we're like, okay, let's do it. Let's start figuring out a name. Let's start planning what's it gonna look like. It definitely did not look the same from how I was going to have it to what it looks like now. And just there were so many trial and errors that it was really awesome to see how it grew from what it was going to be to how it is now. And just my advisors saying, oh, what if we try this? What if this works? What if this might not work? What if we do this? So just really my advisors were the one that really pushed me into my podcast.
Yes, I was sitting in an officer retreat and my teacher was like, Paige, if you're going to run for state office, you have to have an SAE. And at that point, I was like, I have so much going on. I have no idea what I can add. Anything that I was already doing really didn't apply to an SAE. And she was like, well, you like taking pictures and you like public speaking. What about ag communications? And I was like, okay, ag communications sounds pretty easy. Check the box. I can post online a little bit here or there. Maybe it'll grow, maybe it won't, but at least it'll check the box, you know, which we all have those days where we're not really willing to go the extra mile. And I wasn't at that time. But Front Page Ag was born before Beyond the Jacket, where I kind of highlighted agriculture industries in Florida. And then kaboom, I met Farm for Profit podcast through a Front Page Ag engagement, and Beyond the Jacket podcast was born with no prior knowledge of how to run a podcast. And like I said before, you get that ball rolling and you're like, oh my goodness, where has I just wanted to check the box gone? That's old news. Very, very old news.
Yeah.
If you're looking back in your journey through podcasting or FFA, what's an accomplishment you're most proud of?
An accomplishment I'm most proud of? That's a good question. I think it would have to go with my podcast. Just, I was able to interview 5 national officers for my podcast, and just being able to interview one. I never thought I would be able to interview one national officer, let alone 5. Just being able to talk to, it was T. Wayne Williams, the Southern Region Vice President, who I was able to first interview. He is awesome. Just being able to talk to him, and in a 30-minute conversation, I never knew that one of my episodes would be that long. Not saying anything bad about it, but just never going past maybe the 5 or 6 minute mark, and just being able to take in all that he has to say is so awesome. One thing that he has said that will stick with me forever is to always have tired feet. That you may be so exhausted, so tired your feet may be hurting at the end of a day or end of the event, but you know that you showed up, you worked hard if you have tired feet. You showed your best, you worked really hard, you were able to talk to so many people. So just tired feet is what I always remember, and just that accomplishment of just interviewing one national officer, and just even the growth of my podcast from only in the state of Alabama to all the way across the United States, from Oregon to Montana to Texas to California, just all in the states between. Just so awesome to see it grow.
Absolutely. Dwayne was one of my favorite episodes of yours and of ours. He was fantastic, and the tired feet thing, I really took that as well. As you want to complain, you're tired, you're worn out, you've been beating the pavement, interacting with other family members, or filming podcast episodes like you and I. And if you really sit back and resonate with that, you're like, it is such a blessing to be tired from something I once wished for.
Yeah.
And just to kind of hold that close through career and college and all the things that life has to bring after high school, and just kind of remembering the good and highlighting that moment. What leadership positions have you held in FA? I know you kind of nudged to being the president. How did that evolve?
Yeah, so it was a little bit after competition when I was like, okay, there's something more for me. It's not just going to be competing in a competition. So I was like, okay, let's run for a chapter officer position. I was so scared, never been through any interview before. So I walked in there. I was shaking in my boots. I was like, oh my goodness, they're going to tell I'm nervous. They're going to tell I'm scared. They're going to tell I have no experience, but just, I was able to go in there, just have fun with it, even if I was shaking the whole entire time. And just, my advisor saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And just, when it was the banquet and I heard my name called to be president, I was like, what? You're lying. You're joking. And just, I was like, wow, it is so awesome to be able to serve this chapter. And I'll be honest, there's a little bit of fear in it, that just never having being served on a leadership position before, and just going straight to president. I was like, wow, what if I mess up? What if I don't do something right? What if there's someone that doesn't like what I do? But just at the end of the day, it worked out all well, and that I was able to grow into it, and that people were able to see me growing from where I was to where I am now. And I also was on the path to running for Alabama FFA state office, but unfortunately I wasn't selected. But just even through that process, I gained so much knowledge about myself and what it means to be a leader, and what it means to put your work that you worked for years to put it to work. And that just seeing that and putting it all out there was really worth it in the end. Just, it was also really hard for all of us candidates, because we all grew so close in just the few days that we were together. But just, they're all great people that I'm so proud of, the 6 that are able to serve as the FFA state officers for Alabama. And just, it was a really great process, really great time to connect with everyone and learn more about ourselves.
No, I think we have very similar journeys, Saydee. My 8th grade year in FA, I was elected as president, my very first office. I was scared to death. I had no idea how, obviously middle school is a little different than high school. But just kind of where things were going. And I also ran for student office and was not elected. And I think an important lesson for us, as well as our listeners, is that's not the end of your story.
Right.
And there's so many different ways that you can be involved in FFA, even if you don't have an association on the back of it. and
Absolutely.
continue to give back and to learn and grow yourself as a leader, even outside of FFA.
Yeah.
How has FFA shaped the leader you are today?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I grew up really shy, grew up in a military family, moving state to state, not having really any time to settle down, find what I enjoy. So finally joining FFA is what I found my confidence, where I found that I can be myself and figure out who I am as a person, and just that I can fail and also still get back up and learn from what I maybe failed or maybe made a mistake on, just that it's okay to not know everything, and that when as you grow you'll know more, and that you'll grow more, and just that it's going to be a process. There's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, there's going to be days where you're like, why am I even doing this today? Is that okay, I got this, I can do this. So definitely FFA has shaped me into a leader that I probably wouldn't have gained from any other places.
Absolutely. There's good days, there's bad days, there's I don't want to get out of bed days. There's a lot of those actually.
Yeah.
But through all of that, you learn who you are as a person, and
Yeah.
FFA did that for me.
Mhm.
Obviously, this is your episode, so I need to stop talking.
Mhm.
But there's so
No.
many benefits of FFA and the way that it has shaped individuals and who they are today, and found kind of their passions and things of that nature.
Yeah.
What inspired you? Let's get into the nitty gritty, this
Okay.
fun stuff of this episode.
Yeah.
What inspired you to start FFA Frequency Podcast?
So it's going back to what I said about my SAE. I was like, okay, let's do something more. Let's do something different.
Yeah.
And just, I started trying to figure out names for the podcast. And I was like, okay, I want to do something that has FFA in it. But it has to have it has to be the FFA. But I was like, I don't want it to sound like corny. I was like, okay, the FFA. There was one that I can't really remember what it was, but it was so cringy. It was so corny. And I was like, yeah, nope, scratch that. So I was like, I was trying to figure out things that it was like podcasty kind of term. So I was like, the FFA frequency. I was like, the FFA frequency. Okay, that seems better. And I started saying it in like how I start my episodes, like, hey, FFA frequency. I was like, okay, that like runs smoothly right off the tongue. And my first episode, it was with one of she's my very close, she was actually my very first friend in FFA. And I was like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing, but we're just gonna bear with it. Originally, how I started my podcast and how I want it to be was like a news sector, but it did not turn out that way. It was gonna be like, okay, we're gonna have it was actually started with 3 other people in my project, but just they had other things in their life that they couldn't really tend to the podcast for. And just it was going to be like, okay, going back to such and such, going back to such and such. Did not work out that way at all. And just I was like, okay, let's just take it this way, just audio recording and put pictures over the audio. I was like, that's much easier. That's much less stress on the editing part. And just, it was really smooth and it worked out really well and people really liked it. And just over the time that people would say, I love how the podcast is. I love how it runs. I love how I can see what people are actually saying with the pictures. So, and also what really inspired me to start my podcast was like, let's do something new. Let's do something that isn't really what people really know of. That isn't cows, that isn't chickens, that isn't flowers, or isn't running a greenhouse. Let's do something that is advocacy, and that's what I do. That's what I love. I have experience in film or photography and making videos. So let's do something that I love and that I kind of know how to do, and just put that into FFA.
Absolutely. I agree. I loved my time with communications, and while I did show and I enjoyed showing and the animal agriculture part of FFA, I really enjoyed the connections, the leadership
Yes.
side of things, and the people you met along the way. I know I
Mhm.
have a few in my mind. If I could interview anyone, I would probably fangirl over.
Yeah.
Do you have a list like that? Is there anyone like
Yes.
if you could interview them, you would be on cloud nine?
Yes, actually is my favorite country artist. It is Cody Johnson. I've been doing everything that I can to get an interview with him. Just I've been emailing his music page, DMing him on Instagram. It was kind of fangirling out, but just if I was able to interview him, knowing that he was in FFA before and being able to share his story of where he started in FFA and to where he is now, oh my goodness, I would be fangirling. I'd be like, okay, let's relax a little bit before we go all crazy and he thinks you're weird. But
I'd have to do the same.
yeah.
He's on my
Oh
list
yeah.
too.
Yeah. It would be him and United States Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. If I would be able to interview her, just she served as Texas FFA state officer, and just it is so crazy to see that the people that have been in FFA to go and do great things, whether if it's being top artists of a music genre or if it's being in the United States Secretary of Agriculture. Just that would be so crazy.
No, I agree. I think we have a very similar list of individuals that started out in FA and now they are on to bigger and brighter things, and
Yes.
their beginnings and their foundation started because
Mhm.
of the FA Association. And I think it's so unique that there's one big happy family and we are sisters in a kind of a
Yes.
way. Blue
Yeah.
jacket sisters, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. But to kind of ebb and flow through your journey and see that other incredible people came out of this organization and to be able to know that their foundation is strong. If
Mhm.
every FFA member listening today could take away one lesson from you, Saydee, what would it be?
If any FFA member that was listening today could take away one thing, is that if you're doing something or if you're going for something, if you're trying to start your own project or if you're running for an office or if just you're trying to make it through FFA, if you're a little scared to go further in your journey, that it is okay. Remember to take everything slowly, that it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything. I know for me that is what I had to keep reminding myself, is that I don't have to know everything, that it's okay to ask questions, so that just keep going, keep taking things slowly, that it's not going to be perfect the first go around, that you may have to do things over and over and over again till you get the quote unquote perfect of what you want. So just keep going, keep working for it, and just remember that you have so many people that care and love you, and that just if you go to them, they will help you tremendously. I know for me that there has been so many amazing people in my FFA journey that has stood by me and just supported me through everything, through especially my parents. Just coming from military family, non-traditional ag background, when I told them, hey, I'm joining FFA, they're like, okay, I don't know what that is, but we're gonna go for it. And just they've been stood by me through everything, through every good day, every bad day, that they were just there encouraging me and just being there for me. So if you find those people, that they will be there for you.
Absolutely. I think that's incredible advice, Sadie. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I hope our listeners resonate with your message just as much as I did. You are a bundle of joy, so bubbly, and I cannot wait to continue our friendship. And thank you again, listeners, for tuning in.